The fiery reunion. Simon Cowell's explosive return to Jennifer Hudson's world. Chapter 1. Shadows of the Spotlight. It was a sweltering summer evening in 2004, the kind where the Los Angeles air hung heavy with ambition and desperation. The American Idol stage was a glittering coliseum of dreams, where hopefuls bared their souls under the unforgiving glare of studio lights. Among them was Jennifer Hudson, a 22-year-old powerhouse from Chicago's South Side, her voice a thunderclap wrapped in velvet. She wasn't just singing. She was testifying, pouring gospel fire into pop anthems that left the audience gasping. But then there was Simon Cowell. The British judge, with his sharp suits and sharper tongue, sat like a monarch on his throne of critique. His eyes, cold as polished steel, scanned the contestants not for potential, but for flaws. Jennifer had already stunned in her audition, her rendition of "For All We Know," earning rare praise, a hesitant nod from Simon, "Very good," that felt like gold. The judges saw a star. But as the competition wore on, the pressure mounted. Week after week, Jennifer delivered, until Country Night. The theme was her kryptonite. Over the Rainbow, a song she'd sung 100 times in church, felt awkward in cowboy boots. The judges' panel loomed like executioners. Paula Abdul gushed. Randy Jackson nodded approvingly, but Simon leaned into the microphone, his voice slicing through the applause like a knife through silk. "You're out of your depth, Jennifer," he said, the words landing like a slap. "You're a great singer, but this competition, it's not for you. You're not capable of a better performance tonight. No chance of winning." The studio fell silent. Jennifer's smile cracked, her eyes glistening under the lights. She curtsied, ever the professional, but inside, a storm brewed. Eliminated in 7th place, she walked off stage with her head high, but her heart shattered. The tabloids feasted. Simon's savage boot for Idol hopeful. Fans rioted online, calling him heartless, a bully in a bow tie. Little did they know, that moment was the spark. Jennifer didn't fade, she ignited. From Dreamgirls on Broadway to an Oscar for the same role, from The Color Purple to EGOT Glory, she rose like a phoenix, her voice not just heard, but revered. And Simon, he built an empire. The X Factor, Britain's Got Talent, America's Got Talent, but whispers followed him, the man who broke a star. For 2 decades, their paths diverged, orbits of success circling a shared, unspoken wound. Until September 23, 2025. Chapter 2. The Invitation. The Jennifer Hudson Show had become daytime TV's crown jewel, a vibrant tapestry of music, laughs, and raw emotion. Filming in a sun-drenched Los Angeles studio, Jennifer had transformed the format. Less scripted banter, more soul-bearing conversations. Her Spirit Tunnel, a corridor lined with cheering staff where guests danced their way to the stage, was legendary. Celebs like Ariana Grande grooved with glee, even stoic types like George Clooney cracked a smile. It was Jennifer's way of saying, enter with joy, leave transformed. That crisp autumn morning, as producers buzzed with excitement, Jennifer sipped tea in her dressing room. At 44, she was a force, EGOT winner, single mom to her son David, and a host whose empathy drew confessions from the stars. Her team had pitched the guest, Simon Cowell, now 65, slimmer from his health kick, still the king of talent scouting. "It's closure," her producer urged. "The audience will eat it up." Jennifer hesitated, fingers tracing the scar of old words. What if he hasn't changed? But curiosity won. She texted him, "Come through the tunnel. Let's talk." Simon, holed up in his Malibu mansion overlooking the Pacific, stared at the message. Retirement rumors swirled. He'd stepped back from AGT auditions, focusing on his son Eric, now 11, and a string of indie label signings. But Jennifer, she was unfinished business. He'd regretted the Idol barb for years, admitting in private interviews that Barry Manilow week was stupid, and her elimination a travesty. This was his chance to atone. "Tell her I'll do the tunnel," he replied, a wry smile cracking his face. Little did he know, the tunnel would be the fuse. Chapter 3. The Awkward Entrance. The studio hummed with anticipation. Cameras rolled as the Spirit Tunnel lit up, confetti cannons primed, staff in glittering vests bouncing to a remix of Jennifer's Spotlight. The audience, a mix of superfans and industry insiders, leaned forward. Next up, Jennifer announced from the stage, her smile radiant in a crimson pantsuit. The man who once told me I had no chance, but look at us now. Simon Cowell. The tunnel erupted. Staff chanted, "Simon! Simon!" expecting his signature swagger. But as Simon emerged, tailored black blazer, jeans hugging his newly toned frame, something was off. His steps were deliberate, almost mechanical. He raised his hands to clap along, but, oh, the clap. It wasn't a clap, it was a tentative pat, palms barely meeting, elbows locked like a malfunctioning robot. Clap, clap, pat. The staff faltered, their cheers thinning. Simon's face, usually a mask of cool detachment, flushed pink. He forced a grin, waving awkwardly, but the damage was done. The audience tittered. On set, Jennifer's eyes widened, then softened with amusement. As Simon stepped onto the stage, the clip was already leaking, producers whispering into headsets, "Cut that." No, gold. They embraced, Simon's hug lingering a beat too long. "Jen," he murmured, voice thick, "you look incredible." She pulled back, eyebrow arched. "And you," clapped like you've never heard applause before. The crowd roared. Simon chuckled, but his eyes darted, vulnerability peeking through the armor. Off air, he'd confided in a producer about his 2020 e-bike accident, a brutal fall that shattered his back, required steel plates, and left nerve damage in his arms. Simple tasks like clapping, they still hurt, a dull throb masked by painkillers and pride. But on camera, he played it cool. "Loved the tunnel," he said, settling into the guest chair. "Best entrance ever. Can I steal it for AGT?" Jennifer laughed. "Only if you practice that clap." Chapter 4. The Clash Ignites. What started as banter simmered into something deeper. Jennifer, ever the interviewer, steered them back. A screen flickered to life, grainy footage from 2004. There was young Jen, belting her heart out, then Simon's verdict, "Out of your depth." The audience hushed. Simon shifted, fingers drumming the armrest. "Jen, no," she cut in, voice steady but edged with fire. "You don't get to, yet. Do you know what that did? Kids in Chicago, dreaming big, saw a black girl from the projects get torn down. By you, the man who makes stars." Her words hung, sharp as a scalpel. The studio felt electric, crew frozen. Simon's jaw tightened. He'd prepared for nostalgia, not this reckoning. He leaned forward, eyes locking on hers. "I was wrong. Brutally. That night, I was hungover from judging too many tone-deaf warblers. But that's no excuse. You were raw, real, everything this industry pretends to want but fears. I pushed because I saw fire, but I snuffed it. And for that, I'm sorry." Apologies from Simon Cowell were rarer than hen's teeth. This one landed like thunder. But Jennifer wasn't done. "Sorry's a start, but let's unpack it. You built a career on breaking people. Me, One Direction rejects, that kid from X Factor who sued you. Why? To feel powerful." The audience murmured agreement. Old wounds. Reopening. Simon's face darkened, a vein pulsing at his temple. He wasn't used to this. Hosts simpered, guests fawned. Here was his former protege, EGOT crowned, calling him to the mat. "Because the world's cruel," he erupted, voice rising like a crescendo. "I didn't sugarcoat to spare feelings, I did it to toughen you up. You think showbiz is claps and confetti. It's sharks, Jen. Contracts that bleed you dry, labels that own your soul. I was the villain so you could be the hero." His hands gestured wildly, the clap, forgotten in passion. The audience gasped. Simon Cowell, erupting. Not in calculated critique, but raw defense. Jennifer held her ground, tears brimming but chin high. "Tough love, or just love for the drama. I won an Oscar playing a woman who lost everything," echoes of that stage. "But I rose because of me, not your toughening." The clash peaked, words flying like sparks. Simon's regrets clashing with Jennifer's triumphs, his cynicism against her grace. Crew exchanged glances. This was Emmy bait, or cancellation fodder. Chapter 5. The Eruption and the Ember. Then, the turn. Simon stood, pacing the stage like a caged lion. "You're torturing me, Jen. Look at you. Talk show queen, voice of a generation. I was starstruck walking in today. Whitney, Mariah, they'd bow to you." He stopped, voice cracking. "That elimination, biggest mistake of my career. Blame Barry Manilow, blame me, doesn't matter. You won without Idol, without me. He sank back, deflated, the great Simon Cowell reduced to a man haunted by what-ifs. Jennifer softened, reaching for his hand. I didn't need you to win, Simon. But I needed to hear that. The audience erupted. Not in boos, but applause, real and thunderous. They hugged again, this time tear-streaked. Off air, Simon whispered, proud of you, kid. Jennifer replied, prove it, sign my next artist. Epilogue. Echoes in the tunnel. The episode aired to 8 million viewers, clips viraling across X and TikTok. The clap became meme fodder. Simon Cowell's robot rebellion, but the clash stole the show. Headlines screamed. Cowell erupts in epic Hudson showdown. Fans debated. Redemption or deflection? Simon, back in Malibu, watched replays with Eric, who quipped, Dad, work on the groove. He laughed, but the words lingered, fuel for a memoir, perhaps. Jennifer, signing off each night, felt lighter. The tunnel wasn't just an entrance, it was a portal. 2 decades later, a fiery clash had forged peace. In the end, talent shows weren't about breaking, they were about rebuilding. And in that spirit, Simon returned the next week, uninvited, clapping, properly this time, through her tunnel. The crowd cheered. The story, far from over.